So imagine 6, 8, 10, 12 months now people work from home. You're isolated. You're not as motivated to go and move. And now here we are. We have the next wave, which is you have AI. And so you have AI now pretty much doing everything for everybody. To me, I'm worried not of the AI. I'm worried of humans not tapping into what always worked for them, which was your willpower is what made you create the AI. It was what helped you create the nuclear weapons and all of these things, whether it was for good or bad. And I think it's important for people to really go back to the things that worked. Stop worrying about things that, because there's enough to be scared about, but you should only just focus on what you have, what you're in control of, which is your body. And if, and I've worked with people that have lost control over their body over the years, and it's very humbling to watch, because when you watch somebody actually lose control of their body, you actually see like they lose what makes them human. And it's interesting because you're like, man, like you take for granted walking, moving our lips, just basic things. So why not go out and go for a run? Why not go out and move your body? So I'm glad that you realize that, and I'm glad that hopefully that others will watch this and that they would, if they're feeling depressed or they're starting a business or they're young and they're in high school and they're struggling on SAT, go out, move around. Go out and move around. It sometimes helps the brain operates a little differently. All right.
I a lot of times call movement and exercise, like you have to pay for the membership, but it's free happiness. That's like all you got to do is just go outside and do some physical activity. If you don't want to pay for a membership, go do, go run, go do some pull-ups, go hit the punching bag, whatever it is. And like once people realize that, it's like, well, of course I should be doing this every day because it's free and it makes me feel amazing.
Yeah, man. It's like one of the things that like I said, I grew up in a neighborhood in Brooklyn called East New York, and all we had was like a pull-up bar. It wasn't the safest neighborhood, so you didn't go out for like a jog or anything like that, but you went to the park and you worked on yourself. And one of the things that I always remember about that, growing up like that, is that whenever something was wrong, you knew that you can go and move your body and you will figure it out. It's amazing. Like you literally, it's like you look at monks, and monks amaze me because it's like they literally just live so simple, but when they speak, they have such deep things that you're like, well, how do you get such deep wisdom from doing nothing? And there's something about, like, believe it or not, I actually hate gyms. I like outdoor workouts. I like to be outdoors. I like pull-up bars. I like things where I'm actually, it's one of the reasons why I got into boxing. Because you don't need a gym to be a boxer. You don't need a gym to be a martial artist. Those things, it's internal, right? And so, again, it ties all together, connecting the dots. So, let's tie all this up. So, I mentioned earlier that this analogy that we're all connected, right? Like your story about, how you went from being a programmer to patent law to now tutoring, to you taking my class, and now we're here doing a podcast, and now somebody else is going to watch this and maybe get something out of it and go like, so I had this analogy in my head that we're all interconnected, and that's even enhanced now because of the internet, and we're all firing, right? These neurons are all firing, but also at the same time, things are dying, right? People die and wisdom goes with them. And there's a lot of things that, hopefully we can restore, right? And keep. What is a connection point from your journey and all of the connection points that you talked about earlier? What is a connection point that you wish you knew sooner?
All right, well, the way I'm gonna answer is like, I don't really ever look back too much and say, I wish this would have been different or that would have been different, only because I'm really, I love the way my life is, and so I imagine if I change something, right, something would be different. Who knows, right? I'll phrase it in a different way. One thing that was amazing to recognize that I didn't know before, I think, was, and it's a little silly because you hear it when you're a kid. You could do whatever you want. As long as you just go in and you work really hard, you can achieve whatever you want. You hear that, but like, you hear it so much, you kind of become desensitized to it, and you almost don't think it's real. Because it's like, nah, but wait a minute. You got to have certain skill, you got to have certain physicality to be an NBA player. You got to have, you know what I mean? So you kind of start to lose belief in that idea. But that statement has so much truth to it, and I think that I figured that out eventually, and I think I had enough guidance after my career in law when I was building the business that I was like, okay, wait, if I work hard enough at this, it's going to work. I had people say that to me, actually. One of the things that you don't realize about entrepreneurship is if you put your mind to it and you say, I'm not going to give up no matter what, you're probably going to succeed. And I was like, oh, it's so interesting, because we always think about being an entrepreneur as such a difficult hill to climb and all these things. Yeah, well, sometimes we think we don't ever want to do it because it's going to be so hard. What are the chances that I'm going to make this work, etc. But that's only because most people kind of give up midway or say it's too hard, or they have a backup option that just gets too tempting and they jump off the ship. But then I heard that from a serial entrepreneur. It's like, if you just say, hey, I'm going down on the ship, I don't care, you're probably going to figure it out. So I think that was something that I didn't have a clear understanding of that I have now. That, you know, like I said, I don't want to go back and say I wish I would have known it then, because it's better that I didn't know it then. But I'll put this out there for people now. That's my message. Let's say, it truly is, and we're going to see how the world changes with AI. Maybe these things that you want to achieve will become even more reachable with AI and utilizing these technologies to help support you. But I think that still remains to be true even today with all this new technology. That if you truly want to go after something and you feel an inclination towards it, you feel a natural desire and you're enjoying it, just double down, triple down, quadruple down. You could probably make something very special happen.
You got the tools. You know, it's, I asked the question because I agree. You know, I don't really look back and want to change anything. But it's interesting because sometimes you get to a point and then you reflect. And you go like, well, these things had to happen for me to even think like this. And so that's the whole point of connecting the dots, right? Is like, I think a lot of people, they want their dots to be connected already. They kind of want, like, you know, they want to see the shape. They want to see like, oh, okay, I'm a square. Okay, I'm a triangle. But we're all a mess, right? To some degree, like, things happen, life happens, things get removed, things get added, circumstances happen. Look at the pandemic. The pandemic threw everybody into a frenzy. And to me, I look at it as like, just understand that the power is in the connections. Like, if you understand how to make the connections, it sounded like to me when you were speaking earlier, when you talked about computer science, patent law, entrepreneurship as a math tutor, it just all connected for me when you said it as like, you saw a different way of communication. You learned computer science, programming. You saw what happened in the courtroom when you were learning law, and you always had this thing where you're like, that could have been communicated probably slightly different or what have you. And to me, it's like a common thread. We have to find that common thread, because that common thread in any arena, under any circumstance, is a superpower, right? Some people have it with movement. Some people have it with communication. Some people have it with music. Some people have it. It's like a thing that is a common denominator amongst all of those connection points. But it's until you actually get to a point where you're accepting of like what you said earlier, like, I'm gonna just fall on my face. What's the worst that can happen? I fall on my face. And so I think it's extremely empowering. And I think it's important for young people to hear that too, right? Where, everybody wants their life to be so like laid out. Again, they want A, B, C, D. Man, it might be a scratch, allow those dots to connect over time. And I think, partially that's conditioning, like how you raise in a household, society, social media now. There's a lot of pressure. But, especially you notice as well as an entrepreneur, there's no blueprint. You got to figure this stuff out by yourself. I mean, look, the mics, we just figured out the mics, right? All right, so Huzefa, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing your story and connecting your dots with the audience today. And, how can the audience reach out to you? How can parents reach out to you
Sure. So you can reach out, you can go to the company website, which is scalarlearning.com. That's actually a math term. It's SCALAR learning.com. Same name for the YouTube channel. If you're looking for test prep stuff or other math videos, you can just go to YouTube and search for Scalar Learning. And I would say as well, I think one of my newer YouTube channels that's growing pretty quickly now, and I think it's going to be really, really big for kids, especially in the changing world. It's called Math Puzzles. So if you just search Math Puzzles and you also throw my name in there, you can come up with our YouTube channel. We just got just over 2,000 subscribers on that channel. But that I'm so excited about because it's literally just fun and interesting math puzzles, logic puzzles, different problems where students can spend 5 or 10 or 15 minutes a day just doing a puzzle and getting, again, we talk about neuroplasticity, right? So then another opportunity to try and problem solve, and then after the problem is presented, you can see my explanation and how I walked through it. So yeah, that's how I would say how people can connect with me.
I'll make sure to put all of the links in the description. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining, and stay tuned for next episode. See you. Go connect your dots.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
Now the only thing is
the audio.
I mean,
because it was coming through on there.